Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? The last one I did, I looked kind of frazzled. I think I'm looking frazzled again. My hair is getting long. Yes, I need a haircut. Yes, 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 yes. Hello, 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 and welcome. I mean, we have this we're in the waning side of the new moon. So the moon, it was full at was it 2:38 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Mercury has gone retrograde. We have the full moon was on Fortuna, the part of fortune, and which is Jupiter's daughter. So I find like this is the energy was really about a time to have peace. So cheers to everybody. I'm having a little bit of a nip of it's this is what I'm having. Here. It's called Tempo Gin Smash. And it is a strawberry lemon one that I'm having a little drink there for this evening. So today with Mercury going retrograde, the last time okay, I got to get my thoughts here. Haven't even had a real sip yet. Mercury retrograde in 2020 fell in Pisces. And that was when it fell in Pisces, I mentioned to everybody to follow under the spell. And now Mercury is going retrograde and it's going to go back into Virgo and it's going to go all the way back and it's going to be, you know, almost like opposite to where it was in 2020. And surely what happened here. Uh Unfortunately, I have to get one for this hand too, but I can only afford one at a time. Um Starbucks has triggered my carpal tunnel. I had severe carpal tunnel when I used to work for Starbucks from working the bar when it was the original bars, and all of the twisting and everything you have to do and making the drinks, anyways, um, has triggered the carpal tunnel again. So I put this on, of having to put this on so my hand doesn't fall asleep and stuff. So that's what's going on with my hand. Totally kind of forgot I had it on. Uh, so the energies right now, it's about take the things you have and make them beautiful. A statement I was listening today, and he mentioned and he said, um, maybe this is the best time. These are the best of times. And we have to take it as being the best of times. Now, we all know the queen is dead, and there's so much information out there on the queen now, of course. It's always been there, but now it's in our face. Um, I feel Queenie has opened, thank you, Tessa, opened a doorway. And this is where we have to look at these are going to be right now within this energy right now. I'm going to say, let's take this and find the beautiful things in our life because it's going to be so, so important for us to find the beauty in our life and the things that we find beautiful, the things that we find stunning and loving in our lives. And it's going to be so important over the next coming days, weeks, and months for us to be able to grab hold of it because we don't want to fall for the spell again, and we don't want to avoid the things that we have to do. And that's the other thing. And I feel there's been a switch that has been turned on. There's a lot of opposites. And I noticed this as soon as the queen died. So when the queen died, we have a king. So we have King Charles III, the first king of Charles the first, who got his head cut off. But anyways, that's beside the point. The Charleses don't do too well, neither do the Georges. I think he should have picked a different name, maybe Arthur, because at least Arthur did a lot of beautiful good for the country. Anyways, he picked Charles. So King Charles, we have a king now. And when the queen was alive, the prime minister was Boris Johnson. It was a male. Now it's switched. Now the king is a now we have a king and a female prime minister. This is very similar to, the switch in roles. Now, I mentioned to you that there's going to be some switching in roles that are going to be happening, and here it is. So there is a switch in the roles of from the masculine to the feminine energy. But this feminine energy of the prime minister and she was greeted by the queen 2 days before she passed. The prime minister was greeted by the queen 2 days before the queen passed. And I found it interesting, like, this is a woman who said in no uncertain terms, like, she will press the red button. And it's funny, when she was shaking the queen's hand, she had a red watch on. Found that kind of interesting. Just picking up those little details, it's kind of a weird quirk of mine. But in finding in this was very similar to that of World War II, when Chamberlain was in charge. Now, Chamberlain was a bumbling idiot, to say the least. And I think Boris Johnson was a bumbling idiot, to say the least, as well. So we have this switch. So we have a change of guards. And this is also the 9/11 week. So tomorrow's 9/11 this week. So there's a lot of news that things that are going to be happening behind the scenes. And the other thing that I found very curious is all the cardinals gathered September 30th, and they gathered about the bank of the Vatican Bank and things being returned to the Vatican Bank. So a lot of things to do with power with the Catholic Church. Now, the Catholic Church does have a lot of influence in world affairs, whether you believe it or not, whatever, but they do. And I found that quite interesting. And then within a short time after that, the Queen passes. So there's a switching up there. There's a lot of switching up with happening within our world right now. And also, it's going to be taking at least a year to 2 years for our money to change from the queen to the king. This is where they're going to, because with Uranus and Taurus, it's really going to give them some time to go into the digital currency. And that's where we're going to start seeing a push sort of for sort of one currency, or wanting to have one strong currency. Now, this is also where, not only, the kings have run the wars, and certain wars had to have the seal of the lion on it, and not her seal of the queen. So that's the other thing that I find very interesting. So there's these little things that are being implemented that had to be in place for a major switch and change of power coming within the world. And with this is where we're going to be seeing war happening. This is the world war happens. We've already seen Biden's speech, and the Biden speech was very Hitlerish, with the black and the white, very crazy scorpionic energies. And, also, as I said, all the cardinals meeting at the Vatican. So this is where a lot of this fear. Now we got Mercury retrograde and Mars slowing down and going to be retrograding on October 30th. This is where we're going to find that we really need to stay and, take the things we have and make them beautiful. Take the things. This is where the energy is saying is that you got to stay strong within your own convictions, within your own light, and really anchoring that light in and around you and all that you do, because the fear is going to come out. Now, in Canada, they have set up quarantine camps all across Canada, and they're advertising right now, and they're seeking out nurses for these quarantine camps and offering them anywhere between 81 to 92,000 a year. They're also looking for security guards for these quarantine camps as well. So these are positions that are opening up, and they're advertising them on a, asking for any Canadian nurses that are abroad to come home if they want to work for these jobs. Now, the thing is that America has ordered 170 million doses of this new vaccine that has only been tested, to my understanding, on 8 mice. And with them bringing in 170 million doses, they want them used. They want to make their money back. There's money in all of this, right? And I'm not sure how many doses Canada has ordered in. So Canada, I know, is because our lovely PM is talking about vaccinations, talking about getting people getting people elixired, should I say. So we are going to be seeing a force on this, along with the climate police coming in. And that's where in Canada, now I'm going to speak to the Canadians here of some of the laws that they are wanting to implement, especially around the climate police force, where they are wanting to be passing laws to come into your home without any due cause. Like, they can just come into your home. Now, the enforcement with this too, with a lot, is going to be a force with lockdowns. Now, they are wanting to enforce this in some way. Now, in China, there's 21 million people locked down in one of the provinces in China. And with that lockdown, now this is coming up with that Saturn Uranus square. Okay, the lockdowns, the old power, the old regime wants to come in, wants to make sure everybody follows my rules, right? So they are wanting to implement a fear. Now that's, now you're going to find over the next 3 weeks with Mercury retrograde, you're going to find, and then as it goes into Virgo and opposite Neptune, you're going to find that there's going to be a lot of fear. After the 10 days of the funeral and everything with the Queen, that's where you're going to find a lot of things starting to explode. A lot of things are going to start to get extremely crazy. And then with Mercury retrograde, it's just going to stir up more of the confusion. Mars slowing down, and then Venus is changing into an evening star. So we have the goddess going into the underground and coming up as the evening star. So we're going to see, and we're going to feel a lot more of this heaviness. Now, in the United States, they have a monkeypox coordinator that the White House has put in charge. Now, his name is Dmitry Daslakis. Dmitry Daslakis. Now, he's gay, fine, or whatever, but because the monkeypox is within the gay community, so they put a gay person in charge to make it feel softer. The thing is that he's not a nice guy. So there are some things about him that are very demonic. He comes and he looks very clean, wears a suit very nicely, and he's very well shaved. So he comes across looking fabulous. But there's a lot of demonic energy around him, not only from his tattoos on his chest, but a lot of very negative energy. Now, a lot of backlash is coming out about this, because only 1,900 people have gotten monkeypox and nobody's died. And 150 people a day die from fentanyl overdoses in the United States. So the thing is that the fentanyl is makes people money, makes some people money. The monkeypox isn't making people money yet, but it's something we can really get you scared about, get you fearful that you're going to get monkeypox. And this is where I think the psyops came in with the thing that happened in 2020. And we have to, again, I'm going back to take the things you have and make them beautiful. Take the things and really anchor the beauty in your life and the things that are making you happy and making you strong, because there's going to be such a push and such a force for all of this other energy that's coming in, right? And even within, I mean, I got more bad. It just seems like I just keep on coming up with more bad news. The European News Agency, which is a European official records, have discovered with 691% increase in excess death in children. In children. So they're finding that children are dying 691%, and that was of May of 2021. And that since they first approved the COVID vaccines for children, they saw a huge increase in deaths. So these crazy record deaths are coming out from the elixir and from people who've taken the elixir and who've doubled up on the elixir. Some people have tripled up on elixir, doubled up, quadrupled on the elixir. And I'm not sure if this is like the fourth or five shot, elixir that's coming in for people to partir in. And so much, when people are really speaking out, are being censored. So that censorship is coming back, and you're going to find it very strong over the next several months, where a lot of people who are very outspoken, I mean, I'm not even a drop in the bucket for being outspoken or talking about things, but a lot of well-known astrologers are under the FBI watch at this time. And they are being monitored with what they are saying and who they are talking to and who they are hanging with. So, and it's quite interesting with all of that, because they don't want the astrologers or the psychics or the shamans to come out. They don't want the Native Americans coming out and talking about the history or information that they have received from their guidance, from their great spirit. They don't want people to hear these things, because they want you to only listen to what they are proclaiming. They don't want you to be able to find out information and do your research on many different things. And I really encourage you all to not only look into the history, is also to look into the different information that's coming out about the elixir, about death rates, and the information that's coming in. Next year, Pluto goes into Aquarius, and one of the things that Pluto does when he goes into any sign, doesn't matter, he causes huge disruptions, whatever that sign represents. So in Capricorn, for instance, as he entered into Capricorn, Capricorn has to do with government, has to do with the patriarch system, has to do with corporations and structures and organizations. And as he entered in 2008, there was total disruption, right? And as from 2008 all the way to where we are in 2022, is that he has brought in a lot of disruptions, a lot of craziness within this realm. Now along came Saturn and sat down beside him And boom, we had the big um pandemic, that the psyops that happened. So we had this coming in with Saturn and Pluto. Now, that caused more because it was that restriction, because Saturn is restrictive. It wants restriction. Pluto wants to know, well, why are you wanting the restrictions? What are those restrictions? What is that energy that's coming in? And they're still within orbit of each other. They're not cleared of one another totally, even though they're in different signs. They're still with under a 30-degree orbit of each other. So they haven't totally said bye-bye to one another. So there is still that restriction and hold that wants to take place. And with Pluto, when it does go into Aquarius, it does cause the disruptions of community, of the scientific world, because that's what Aquarius represents. And he also brings in the death. So death rates go up even higher with Pluto. And that is where we're going to be very much in the throes of the craziness of war with everything. So we're seeing a lot unfolding. We're seeing a lot that is happening within our world, this world. And it's really, again, as I go, it's so important to make sure you have your spiritual practice and your community and your connections with everything, because they're they are wanting to muffle people. I mean, Steve Bannon is one who is a very outspoken man in the States, and they don't want him posting. They don't want him, but as he said, they're going to have to kill him first before he ever stops. So there's that's coming in as well. So we have this energy and it's intensifying, and with the death that is, of the queen, we're going to be seeing a lot of the world leaders coming in. And they're not just going to go into their separate rooms. I mean, there's going to be some chin wagging and stuff like that, and they're going to be, making some deals on what is the next move, and what does Charles want? And you don't think it's the thing is, he is the head of state and he sits on a throne, right? He sits on a throne. Steve Bannon might be a bad man. There's a lot of bad men, but he's coming out and he's throwing a lot of people under the bus. He's coming out and speaking. That's the thing. He's a bad cat, but a bad cat with a lot of information that they do not want him to talk about. That's the thing. So when he starts talking and throwing people under the bus, that's where they'll want to shut him up. And that's the whole thing. So it's like he's going to let the cat out of the bag. And that's not what many in power want him to do. So this is what's unfolding. I mean, we have no, it doesn't. But I mean, he's not the only one there either. You got to look at the president of the United States right now, our prime minister. All of those guys are bad guys. All of them are all a part of the World Economic Forum. I mean, we're going to be celebrating, the world's celebrating a king, Charles II or Charles III. He's not exactly a nice person either. So this is where information and information coming out, that's the thing. And that's, when people are being muffled in the world and not being allowed to say what they need to say, and then being judged about it. That's where you're going to be getting more segregation. This is where you're going to get where people aren't going to be able to stand up and do things. And with, I mean, right now in Canada, setting up the quarantine camps. I mean, they were being set up. I didn't want to say too much about them before, but when there's advertising for nurses and security guards on all the big websites for jobs. So there is this huge push to cause segregation within our society, even more so, even when truth is coming out. There's a lot that people would rather not hear about it because they think it doesn't affect them. But when you go to the grocery store, when you fill up your car, when you look at a bank and you're wanting to get a mortgage and your mortgage is going to be at 6% or 8%, this is where we have to go to our grassroots and begin to band together, to stand up. That's where you're going to find it, people are going to get very frustrated over this. And with it all, and this is also that's coming down in even in Germany, where they are wanting to bring back the mask mandate for October 1st, and they are wanting to bring in the army for patrolling. So things have to come out. People have to talk about stuff. I mean, I'm not saying Steve Bannon is a wonderful person, not at all, but he is going to start throwing people under the bus. I mean, good or bad. So all of these are being set up. So all the forces are being set up right now. And this is where, with things going crazy and the calendar dates are going to start to really begin to crazily align. So the shit's going to get crazier. And especially as the enforcement for different things that are going to come in. The other part too is just looking at my notes right now. People losing their houses, that's the other thing. Evictions are coming down the chute, especially in the United States. So a lot more people are going to be evicted out of their homes. It's all of this coming in, all of these different things are all sort of surfing around and crazily happening all at once. And the explosions are starting to happen. What I find interesting is going back to Germany is with Russia turning off the gas. I think I think Germany's going to go and pay the money so that they can keep the gas going. And that's going to cause a big ruffling with NATO and push Germany in a direction. And Putin is part of the World Economic Forum also. So who's to say that he's not coming in at this at a different angle? And the Ukrainian prime minister or president or whatever, I can't, Lewinsky. I have said from the very beginning, he's in Putin's back pocket. I really honestly think he is. And you're going to find they just sent over how much more money over to Ukraine. And then all of a sudden, maybe he's going to pull back and then Ukraine and Russia are together again. So craziness, I think you're going to see a lot of these things because this is very similar to what happened in World War II. A lot of, places changed and switched and everything else. And the people you thought were the good guys, you're going to find, oh, they're not. And I think, with that speech too, with Biden, that was a very interesting one with him making and threatening the American people. you know? And then, of course, with the queen dying too. So we're in, we're heading into some interesting, heavier waters. And this again for us to come to our, you know, heart space and come to a place where we can come to a grounding within our life is going to be important, um, because we're in it. We're in it. And even with all of this great light that's here, this is what we have to grab onto. But the thing is that the world is split. Not everybody is awakened. Not everybody understands what is happening. And they would rather, you know, not be aware of it all. And when people are borrowing money, like a lot of places right now, um, are having to buy now, pay later. Now, we've heard of this before, but with groceries, buy your groceries now and pay a little bit each week so you can have your groceries. So people are now looking at having to go into debt more so for just buying groceries. In the UK, they have a game show on we will pay your utility bills for the winter. Um, this is going to start getting crazy. In Switzerland, if you turn your heat, they passed a law that if they your heat has to stay at 19 degrees. It cannot go over. And if it does, I mean, they will charge you $3,000 3,000 francs a day, Swiss francs, which is a hell of a lot of money. It's over 3,800 Canadian. So that's the other, so these things where what I'm going to say is that, especially in Canada and in Australia, when it comes to even housing and things like that, we're going to start seeing things really start to crumble. And a lot of people are going to start losing their houses. A lot of people are going to be struggling to keep their lights on and to put food on their table. So places like the food bank and that are going to be in desperate need have to have food, and this is where community and community neighborhoods get together to help to feed one another, to help to make sure that everybody's being taken care of, and that's going to be so important in the coming weeks and in the coming months and in going into 2023. And 2023 is where, I said this year, and we still haven't finished it, is, Fantasia and Alice in Wonderland coming together in craziness. 2023 is where I see Maleficent rising up on this rock. And um I keep on seeing that image of her and coming into, it's like almost where I also see her as Eris, right? And the goddess of chaos and the goddess of for the underdog, like she fights for the underdog. But Maleficent is, she could be a little bit devilish and a little bit more harmful. And I think that's really where I feel some of the energies can come in and really cause a lot of fear with people, because they don't want to take charge in their life. They don't want to take that initiative, and they are hoping that somebody will come in and save them in some way. So this is my advice for people is one, begin to take inventory of the things that you have in your house. So when grocery shopping, take inventory of the food that you have. Make sure that you have a list of the things that you have and dates. Now you might date your stuff, but it's really good that you have an inventory list of the things that you have. and the things that you would like to get, and maybe even a wish list. So having those things and sort of start to really organize yourself in that. Um, we just had a case lot sale at Save on Foods, and things just flew out the door. And Canadian Tire just had a huge sale over the weekend. And just talking to the girls there, they said they couldn't keep up with people coming in and buying a lot of necessity stuff. So things, people were buying camp stoves, they're buying propane tanks and a lot of, sort of necessity things for the house. A lot of people were stocking up on things. So that's what when there's a sale, you see a sale on, definitely look at what you have and then go in to stock up and take the inventory of everything that you have. Um, we're just gonna get crazier. So on that, when as I say that, I'm gonna take a sip with everything. So that's crazy. So to you all, I'm going to send you guys out so much love. And I really want you guys to really look around and find the beauty in your life and the beauty that surrounds you and all that you do and all that you say and all that you be. If you're wanting a reading, definitely you can book in with me. I'm doing, one-on-one readings online usually, and you can book in. And they are on the weekends. So mainly my readings are going to be done on the weekends. Um, and yeah, I love you all. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please let me know. If you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe and, put down, write down something, comment or something, and I will get to your comments definitely. But I love your feedback. And Julia, thank you, definitely for, give me your comment about Steve Bannon. I know I'm not a fan of him either, but I know he's going to start throwing people under the bus. So, and people, big guys, money people don't like that. So you guys have a fabulous evening. Pour yourself a drink, whether it's a gin and tonic, a glass of wine, a glass of water, a cup of tea. Have yourself a fabulous evening, and we will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.